They call me the Ketamine Queen. The truth is, I'm just a smart, savvy businesswoman trying to make my way. Sure, my methods may not always be on the up and up, but a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do, right? Well, my name is Jasveen Sangha, and I think I killed your friend Matthew Perry. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be in this much hot water, I would have laughed in your face. I was living the high life, pun intended. Jetting off to exotic destinations, partying with A-list celebrities, swimming in a sea of cash and drugs. I had it all. Or so I thought. But in this business, it turns out that just 1 gram can send everything spiraling out of control. Remember Chandler from Friends? Of course you do. That's probably why you're here. Well, maybe we should thank him because, in a way, the Ketamine Queen is now on everyone's lips. But let's rewind a bit. It all started to unravel that day in October 2023 when Matthew Perry overdosed in his hot tub. That poor guy. He really never stood a chance, did he? All the money and fame in the world couldn't save him from his demons. I almost feel bad for him. Almost. Losing him was like losing a good client. Do you think I don't care about them? You see, I was the one who supplied the ketamine that killed him. Along with a few other unsavory characters, we took advantage of Matthew's addiction and lined our pockets in the process. It was a perfect setup. If we did it right, no one had to get hurt, and our business would keep running smoothly. Now, don't judge me. I was just providing a service. He needed something, and I got it for him. It's basic market theory. It was a classic case of supply and demand. Perry wanted the ketamine, and I was more than happy to provide it. For the right price, of course. In total, I pocketed around $11,000 from supplying him with approximately 50 vials of the drug. You might wonder how I got my hands on so much ketamine. Well, let's just say I have my sources. I've built up quite a network over the years. From shady doctors to underground chemists, I know all the right people. And trust me, in Hollywood, there's always someone looking for a fix. You can't blame me if someone goes a little overboard with the injections. But then I saw the news. Matthew Perry was found dead in his jacuzzi on October 28, 2023. Fast forward 1 year and the feds came knocking on my door, guns drawn, shouting orders. Before I knew it, I was in handcuffs, being hauled down to the station. Apparently, I'm the lead defendant in this whole sordid affair. Imagine that. Little old me, the center of attention. I almost feel like I should be flattered. I wasn't working alone, of course. Where do I even begin? Let's start with Dr. Salvador Plasencia, the so-called urgent care doctor who was knee-deep in this whole sordid affair. You see, this man was the one who initially got Matthew Perry hooked on the ketamine. He even had the audacity to text another doctor, Mark Chavez, about how much that idiot, meaning Perry, was willing to pay for the drug. And let me tell you, Plasencia didn't just sit back and let the money roll in. No, he got his hands dirty, literally. He personally administered ketamine injections to Perry, right there in the actor's own driveway. So, yeah, it's funny how these medical professionals can be just as corrupt as the rest of us, huh? Plasencia and Chavez with their fancy degrees and white coats, well, they were no better than street dealers, let me tell you. They just had a fancier way of pushing their product. And then there's Kenneth Iwamasa, Perry's live-in assistant. This guy was the one who was actually injecting the lethal doses of ketamine into Perry's veins. That day he gave him 1, 2, 3 shots before Perry went into the jacuzzi. And he even had the gall to clean up the evidence after the fact, trying to cover his own ass. This snake claimed he was just following orders, that Plasencia had taught him how to administer the drug. But come on. We all know he could have put a stop to it at any time. He's just as culpable as the rest of us, if you ask me. Well, they are even more guilty than me. Let's just say that. Ah, I almost forgot. There was also this guy, Eric Fleming, the broker who facilitated the whole operation. This guy was the middleman, the one who connected me with Perry and made sure the drugs kept flowing. He even had the nerve to text me after the fact, trying to assure me that everyone is protected. That's the problem with dealing with amateurs in this business. Those people led the feds right to me, And now they want to blame me for Matthew kicking the bucket. Please, I'm a businesswoman, not a common criminal. Sure, I may have supplied the drugs that killed Perry, but I didn't force him to take them, did I? If anything, I was just catering to the demand. And let's not forget, I had a whole network of clients beyond just Perry. Who are they? Oh, you really want to know, don't you? Well, I can't really say any names yet, but they are A-list actors, people in the music industry, and even a few politicians. Those are my favorite ones. They're more discreet, you know? But of course, the feds are conveniently ignoring that part. They want to make an example out of me, to show the world that they're tough on drug dealers. Well, I've got news for them. I'm not going down without a fight. And boy, do I have a fight ahead of me. I guess you could say I was a regular Pablo Escobar, just with a lot more style and a lot less cartel violence. Although, who knows? Maybe I would have gotten there eventually. I'm nothing if not ambitious. For now, I ran the show from my stash house in North Hollywood. It was my drug-selling emporium. When they raided the place, they uncovered a treasure trove of illicit goods, 80 vials of ketamine, thousands of methamphetamine and cocaine pills, and bottles of Xanax. Clearly, I had built up quite the operation. I pride myself to be a major source of supply for ketamine to others as well. I had an extensive network of wealthy, high-profile clients that I serviced on a regular basis. Hollywood celebrities, socialites, you name it. If they had the cash, I had the product. Of course, the feds don't see it that way, especially the U.S. Attorney, Martin Estrada. To them, I'm just a common criminal, exploiting people's addictions for my own personal gain. But I beg to differ. I'm a businesswoman, through and through. And if a few people happen to get hurt along the way, well, that's just the cost of doing business. I know, that's a pretty callous way of looking at things. But you have to understand, when you're dealing in the kind of volume that I was, you can't afford to get sentimental. It's all about the bottom line, baby. And let me tell you, my bottom line was looking pretty damn good before all this went down. Why? Because this isn't the first time I've had to deal with clients who overdose. Back in 2019, I sold some ketamine to a guy named Cody McClory. Poor sucker overdosed and died. And that time I panicked, of course. Googled whether ketamine could be listed as a cause of death and everything. I mean, I knew I was playing with fire, but I never thought it would come back to bite me in the ass like this. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was getting involved with Matthew Perry. I should have known better than to get mixed up with a washed-up former sitcom star, no matter how much money he was willing to throw around. But the cash was just too good to pass up, you know? And it's not like I was the only one taking advantage of him. Now, I have to admit, I'm kind of impressed by the way the feds put this all together. They really did their homework, digging into my past and uncovering all my dirty little secrets. What I can't figure out is how they knew about the Cody McClory thing. I thought I'd covered my tracks on that one, but apparently not. Those feds, they're a persistent bunch, I'll give them that. And then there's also the whole issue of my client list. Apparently the feds are worried that I might start naming names, trying to cut some kind of deal. Can you imagine the fallout if I start spilling on all my high-profile customers? The entertainment industry would be shaking in their boots. Yes, even the quietest, most unassuming ones are on my client list. I have to admit, the thought has crossed my mind. I mean, if I'm going down, why shouldn't I take a few of them down with me? It's not like they're any better than me, right? They were happy to partake in my little services when the price was right. Now they're all clutching their pearls and acting like they had no idea what was going on. But now I'm not so sure if that client list can get me out of this mess. I'm facing a slew of charges, including conspiracy to distribute ketamine and distribution of ketamine resulting in death. The big one, of course, is the whole Matthew Perry thing. They're saying I knew the ketamine could be deadly, and that I even tried to cover my tracks by telling my broker to delete our messages after the fact. Of course I knew the risks, but work is work. I'm a businesswoman, not a saint. All right, let's see what I'm facing. I'm looking at a mandatory minimum of 10 years and a maximum of life in prison. Can you imagine? Me, Jasveen Sangha, socialite and ketamine queen, rotting away in a cell for the rest of my days. But, to be honest, hearing them makes me realize that maybe they're right, at some point. I remember what the U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada said, that us, the defendants, cared more about profiting off of Mr. Perry than caring for his well-being. And you know what? He's right, and that truth terrifies me. I've always prided myself on being a step ahead, but now I'm cornered. They got so much evidence against me that it is overwhelming. For the first time, I'm genuinely scared about what's going to happen to me. I'm a queen. I'm used to a certain lifestyle, not being behind prison bars. What am I supposed to do now?
Criminals like Jasveen Sangha don't care about the damage they cause, the lives they destroy. They're only concerned with their own profits and pleasure. But no matter how long it takes, the justice system prevails. In the end, we need to remember the real victims in this story. Matthew Perry, a beloved actor and friend to millions, lost his life because of those who saw him as just a way to make money. His family and friends are still grieving his loss. But let's honor Matthew's memory and the joy he brought to so many with his talent and humor. His story should remind us of the devastating effects of addiction and the need for compassion and support for those dealing with substance abuse. Soon, when justice is served, you will finally rest in peace, Chandler Bing.